Our materials we are working with today is Red Heart 4-ply yarn or color zebra, 6mm crochet hook, scissors, weaving needle to weave in our ends. We begin by making our loop anyhow that you desire to make it in various ways. You have a loop. Now we're going to make 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in our 4th chain from hook, we are going to make 11 double trebles. Our first 3 chains count as our first double treble or DC. So we are going to, at the end of this row, we're going to have 12. Let's count. 3 chains make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going to complete this row and every row by slip stitching into the 3rd chain of our first 3 chains of every row. Chain 3, DC in seam stitch, and in every stitch around we will place 2 double trebles in every stitch around, and this will complete as we continue to work around. That will complete our 2nd row, 2 DCs in every stitch around. Yes, I encourage you to count to ensure that you have not made a mistake. Finish each row in the same manner, slip stitching into the 3rd chain of our first 3 chains, and to begin every row the same, 3 chains. Yes, we DC in the same stitch, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, skip 1, yes, and 2 DCs in the next stitch. So chain 1, skip a DC and 2 DCs in the next stitch. This is row 3. When we completed this row, we will have sets of 2 DCs with a chain between each set of 2 DCs. Chain 1 and complete row 3. Slip stitch in the 3rd chain. Chain 3, DC in seam stitch, a DC in the next DC, which gives us a set of 3 DCs with 1 chain between. DC in 2 DCs in first DC and DC in next DC, and a chain between. That completes row 4. Don't forget to put our chain at the end. Correct. Now this is row 5. Now with row 5, what we're going to do, we're going to be making groups of 3 chains as we did before, but we're going to be placing 2 chains between each set of 3 DCs. Chain 2, 3 DCs, a DC in each of the DCs of the previous row. So in this row, row 5, we have sets of 3 DCs with 2 chains between each set of 3 DCs. Work around, and that completes row 5. 5, slip stitch and third chain from of the previous row. Sorry. Chain 3, DC and seam stitch and 2 DCs and remaining a DC in each of the remaining 2 DCs. That gives us a set of 4. Chain 2, 2 DCs in first stitch and a DC in each of the remaining 2 DCs. That gives us groups of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, with 2 chains between each group of 4 DCs. And that is row 6. Let us complete row 6 by slip stitching in the third chain of the first 3 chains. 3 chains. Now we will begin row 7. For row 7, we will be making groups of 5 DCs. Chain 3, DC in the same stitch and a DC in each of the remaining 3 DCs. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Groups of 5 DCs with 2 chains between. That is row 7 that we are working on now. This is row 7 that we are working on now. So we try to keep track of our rows so we will know exactly where we are. So for row 7, we are making 2 groups of 5 DCs with 2 chains in the first DC and a DC in each of the remaining 3 DCs with 2 chains between. And that has completed row 7. I hope I've not mixed you up or confused you. That's a Bajan term. To mix up is to confuse. Okay, now we are row 8. Chain 3, as we begin, a DC in the same stitch. And now we're going to be making groups of 6 DCs. So now we're going to have that 2 at the beginning and then 1 in each of the remaining 4 of this group of DCs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 2, 2 DCs in that first DC and a DC in each of the remaining 4 DCs. And for row 8, we have groups of 6 DCs with 2 chains between. That complete row 8. Now we're on to row 9. Now we will have groups of 7. So like as before, we have 2 in the first DC and then 1 in each of the remaining DCs of that group of DCs, which will give us 7. The first 3 chains come as our first DC. Whenever we have 3 chains, we have a DC. It's equivalent to a DC. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Groups of 7. 2 chains between each group of 7 DCs, and this we are on our 9th row of our barrette, our 9th row. Trying to make it as plain and as simple as possible for you. Now in our next row, we will be decreasing to give our barrette shape. Yes, we have completed our 9th row. It's looking, it's a bit big, but so now you can as you can see, manhandle it however that you choose to. Just manage it. Yes, we will finish off this row now. And in our 10th row, we will be decreasing. Yes, we need to make sure that we put in our chains. When we get the other row to the following row, we realize, oh my goodness, I missed these, and it spoils the whole project. And then you have to go back, and it can be very discouraging. So we're going to chain 3 now, and then DC in the next, and we are going to make our decrease here by DCing or making 2 double troubles together, and we are decreasing. So a decrease is when we DC 2 DCs together. I hope I'm not making this complicated. So we go on, we are decreasing now. So we make 2 DCs and then we DC 2 together. And we still keep our 2 chains between. Right. Now for our next row, we will chain 3, DC in next DC, and the next 2 DC, and we will do a DC decrease in our last 2 DCs. Chain 2, DC, 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 and a DC decrease in our last 2 DCs around. Chain 2. That should complete this row. That is row 11 that we have just completed. Chain 3, DC, DC, little DC, chain 1. Our decrease this row will be the fact that we are chaining 1 instead of 2. This will be our decrease. We work our way around. We will repeat row 12 for our 13th row, just to give it length. You can repeat it for as many times as you want to. Here we are at the rim. Chain 1 and single crochet in every stitch around, including the 1 chain space. Every stitch around, including the 1 chain space, we will single crochet in every stitch around. And we will do this for 6 rows. We've done that for 6 rows. We will cut off and weave in our end. And we have completed our barrette. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You can make this to fit any size depending on the size thread that you use or the size needle that you use. See, there's no hole at the top. It is a beautiful summer barrette. It can fit, like I said, using different size needles and different size thread. You can use it. You can make it to fit from baby to an adult. I hope you enjoy this pattern. Please subscribe to JEHU-NIMSHI. Thank you for watching.